Hello my friends and welcome. As you can see, Ukrainian army moved out from Avdiivka. I personally consider it as the best decision in those circumstances that occurred, and Russians occupied this town. But somehow Russians are not celebrating in their social media. Yes, Russian propaganda do celebrate, the Russian official one, but the Russian military bloggers and experts are not really satisfied with this achievement, because they had severe losses, even more than in Bakhmut, and still were not able to encircle our major group of Ukrainian army, which, as I say to you, successfully went from Avdiivka. Yes, this time Ukrainian command admits that local forces of Ukrainian army were encircled partially. Some of our guys were even imprisoned, but the main group was successfully evacuated or withdrawn from the place. It was the proper thing to do. Actually, I'm quite surprised about this decision from Ukrainian new military command, new old, let's say, General Commander Syrsky, because based on his experience, he was really focused on defense of the Bakhmut city, for example. So Ukraine potentially could defend Avdiivka for a very long time, maybe even for a couple of weeks, sending more and more reinforcements. But for what cause? But that would have bring lots of the losses for Ukrainian side. So now I think Ukrainian army will defend somewhere in this area, maybe even further back. Avdiivka played its great role in this war by causing Russian army losses. But you know what Russia lost today? The control over the skies in Donbass. This morning Ukraine managed to shut down 3 of the Russian fighter jets, 2 of the Sukhoi 34 fighter bombers and 1 Sukhoi 35. It is the best Russian fighter jet. Yes, there is Sukhoi 57 too, but it's very wet and mostly capable just on the paper. But Sukhoi 35 is the proved air vehicle, which was caputed today by Ukrainian air defense. Before we are going to review this case, let me tell you about the partner of the channel and also my sponsor, the Atlas VPN. They have a super deal which they made especially for my followers, where you may get the Atlas VPN Premium just for $149 per month, plus you'll obtain 12 months, so 1 year extra. I use the Atlas VPN continuously for already 2 years, and I would say it's the best VPN service out there on the market. It really helped me a lot to secure my online activity. And because of the multiple devices support from a single account, I'm sure that my laptop, my iPad and my smartphone are well protected. And just recently, then I was sitting in a local cafe using the public Wi-Fi. I got the warning from Atlas VPN that someone tries to reach my YouTube channel and Google account. That is why I changed the password and immediately disconnected from that network. That security monitoring is not available for many VPNs, and luckily Atlas VPN got it. You may hear that English is not my native language, so I constantly studied. How I study? I just basically watch the Netflix series, and some of them are not available in my country. That is why I switch on the Atlas VPN to watch my favorite series. With Atlas VPN, you simply don't have any limits or any kind of restrictions. Atlas VPN may help you to avoid the price discrimination, so by changing your virtual location, you may purchase, for example, airline tickets with a great discount. Atlas VPN is blocking annoying ads, it restricts the government access to your accounts, and also you are unreachable for hackers. And now my friends, please check out my personal link or scan the QR code available on the screen, where you may get the Atlas VPN Premium with a huge discount especially made for my followers for just $149 per month, plus you obtain 1 year, so 12 months extra. I'm really proud to have the sponsorship with Atlas VPN. They provide a great product for my audience. So what are you waiting for? Hurry up to join the club. So far, Russia recognized the loss of Sukhoi 35, their best fighter jet, saying that 2 of the Sukhoi 34 airplanes made it to the base. But they are lying. There is the emergency satellite system installed on every plane, including the military one, which gives the signal to the rescue team. It is called Kaspas Sarsat. The Ukrainian military was able to spot those signals. It wasn't one, as Russia says, but there were 4 totally of them. But there are 2 of the crew members in each Sukhoi 34, and crew might also have those transmitters attached to their uniform somewhere. The transmitters are not very big. They call the emergency locator transmitters. They also transmit the VHF signals too, together with the satellite signal. And we have even the spots of those signals. Let's look at the map where exactly those airplanes were shot down. Actually, it happened not far away from the Russian border with Rostov Oblast, somewhere near to Amrosivka over here. At least one of the signals was spotted in this place. This is the occupied territory by the Russian Federation, and it's really far away from the front lines, but Russia is using the gliding bombs, and they may drop them from around 50 kilometers away from the front lines. They also modernized those systems, so probably the modern day range is even more than 50 kilometers. This is the idea of the gliding bomb. It is the standard bomb, but with mounted skeleton, let's say, with the wings, and after it's separated from the airplane, wings extend, making it flyable, plus, which is more important, controllable. Ukraine is also using those kind of the bombs provided to Ukraine by the United States of America. Those are called JDAMs with maximum range of 70 kilometers. Those are much more precise compared to the Russian gliding bombs, but Russia uses more heavy aviation bombs compared to the United States JDAMs. On this image of Avdiivka Kaksahim plant, we may see the usage of the Russian JDAMs. Really devastating weaponry, mostly that what made the Ukrainian army to leave the positions not only in the factory, but from all of the Avdiivka town. The Ukrainian positions were totally eliminated by those powerful bombs. Yes, they are much more powerful compared to the artillery shells. And Ukraine wasn't able to cope with that until now. Then the decision was made to move the Patriot system closer to the eastern side of Ukraine. We understand that it's a very risky operation to move those very sophisticated and expensive systems closer to the enemy side, but you may see that it brings results. The other airplane crash-landed near Dyakova, and the other one somewhere in the Russian territory of Rostov region. So we may check the Patriot system with the largest missile pack too, possible, and place it somewhere, I know, very close to the front lines, and you may see that indeed it covers the area, so it might be placed even somewhere over here to conduct this mission in more safe area, but still it is under the great risk of being attacked by the Lancet drones or the Russian long-range MLRS systems like Uragan. That's why those air defense systems should be very mobile. Should they target and immediately leave their position, that is the only way to secure the vulnerable air defense systems. Also, you need to have extra short-range air defense systems just in case Russia would use some of the drones or maybe even cruise missiles to target Patriots. And here we have the video of the airplane which is going down near to Dyakova. For sure, this is the Russian fighter jet. So far, I haven't got the information whether pilots survived or not. But for sure, Russia lost 3 of the airplanes today based on the satellite signals. And official Ukrainian Air Force report. Hopefully with F-16s we'll have more of those cases for the Russian army. It is very important because Russia is able to produce a little bit more than 20 of those airplanes per year. I mean, not just Sukhoi 35, but including all of their new fighter jets, Sukhoi 34 plus Sukhoi 57, the 5th generation of the fighter jet, as they call it, and still they hesitate to use it in this war. So if we speak about the standard airplanes, I would say not more than 17 of them are produced per year. And just for the last couple of months, I guess Ukraine shut down 8 of the Russian airplanes, which brings Russia enormous losses, plus they're losing their experienced pilots. Remember how Russia lost their AVAX airplane A-50? Well, we know the name of the captain. He was buried, or the remains of his were buried, Levchenko Vyacheslav Ivanovich, the commander of A-50 who died during conducting the surveillance mission, as they say, over the Russian territory. We have it from the Russian social media group. In general, this information is closed, but obviously relatives know about it, the friends of the relatives, the friends of this pilot. They all know that he died, and all of this information is shared in some way to the social media. That's why we have it over here. His rank was lieutenant colonel, and he was a really experienced pilot. Russia has just a few of those on A-50. As for Ukrainian fighter jets, well, F-16s are still somewhere on the way to Ukraine, and our guys are joking with this FPV drone writing F-16. So those are the only F-16s we have in Ukrainian army, but still very capable. We're gonna review Avdiivka a little later. Let me tell you about one more vector of the Russian assault. It is happening now from Novoprokopivka towards Robotyne. They tried to reach our settlement today. However, they lost lots of the vehicles and several tanks. At first, they even managed to occupy some of the territory, but under Ukrainian FPV drone fire, they were unable to continue their mission and were forced to retreat. So all of this area is now the gray zone. I think that with the next update, you will see it on the military map. And also we are waiting for visual confirmation because the information for now is coming from the Ukrainian soldiers in the place. The good thing that Russia had losses and were forced to retreat. Awesome job from Ukrainian defenders. Russia is not that effective on the south compared to Avdiivka because they had to reduce the aviation activity in the area after they lost 3 of the airplanes also on the southern direction. So Robotyne still holds. But we know that Russia prepared lots of the forces in this side, even more compared to Avdiivka, in attempt to reach this ground, which they lost during the summer counterattack of Ukrainian army. But what I can show you is the failed Russian attack near to Bilohorivka. It's the Luhansk Oblast. You may see lots of the MTLBs and some of the tanks. This attack was conducted, I think, a couple of days ago, and today images appeared in internet. As you can see, Russia still has lots of the vehicles to lose in this war. But they are in lack of BMPs, that is why they use MTLBs with very light armor. Those are not really the infantry vehicles and can be stopped mostly by everything. But as our sources say, in this particular Russian attack, Russia lost some of the BMPs, 4 of them, 3 tanks, 1 MTLB, 1 BTR. And here's the video of this attack. Obviously, I'm unable to show you this on YouTube. That is why you may check it out on my Telegram channel, which is, by the way, in the video description just below. I always keep my Telegram community updated with what is really happening in Ukraine, so I recommend you to subscribe me and join my group on Telegram. Alright, and now let's go back to Avdiivka, which was captured by the Russian forces, only because Ukraine withdrew its forces. Yes, I may admit that it happened way faster than I expected, but it was the proper decision to conduct by our General Commander Syrskyi. Just yesterday then I recorded the video. At the end of it, after the latest military map update, I said that it's time to withdraw the forces today. And after I uploaded the video in a couple of minutes, I understood that our General Commander came to the same conclusion. Well, this was organized. The withdrawal was organized. It wasn't perfect, but still, Ukrainian forces left the positions mainly without heavy losses. What's about our guys who were encircled in this particular area before? I told you about them in my latest video. Well, we have the confirmation that Russia captured them. They are now imprisoned and probably will be exchanged soon because they are in terrible state. All of them, 6 people, are wounded, and we just hope that Russians will behave normally according to the international conventions. Then I saw this picture yesterday. Obviously, it was understandable for everyone who has logic that it's time to withdraw the forces, mainly because all of the supply roads were cut by the Russian forces. That's it. You're unable to maintain the control over the city without proper supplies. Those are just the fields which are unusable for transportation in the current weather conditions. So everything was really fast. Ukraine lost this battle, yes. Avdiivka was really important even compared to Bakhmut because it's the part of the local agglomeration of the cities, including the main biggest city on the east, Donetsk. Ukraine could have used Avdiivka for the further advancement towards Donetsk airport, which is located somewhere near here, and also for potential movement towards the Donetsk city itself. Now it is the unrealistic scenario for Ukraine, and Russia obviously won. But what price have they paid for their victory? Well, according to statistics, they lost 666 vehicles in Avdiivka since the beginning of their attack operation over there. Yes, the number of the beast, 666. At the same time, Ukraine lost 57 of the vehicles. As for the Russian infantry, the real number is unknown, but it's close to 10,000 soldiers. Just for the last couple of days, the 3rd Assault Brigade was able to eliminate 1,500 soldiers, plus 2,500 were wounded for the Russian side. Mid-wave tactics is constant in Russia. As you see, it works, but what's the reason? I mean, we understand the reason, right? Putin needs to be elected, and he achieved his victory in this winter campaign. Yes, I was wrong that Russia lost the winter campaign. Actually, they achieved their goal, taking Avdiivka under control. But again, what's the cost of this victory? And Ukraine has many other cities. It means that Russia will continue to use the similar tactics because Putin doesn't care. The Russian military commanders also do not care. So many more Russians will just die in this stupid war. It will lead to the new mobilization in the Russian Federation for sure. After Putin is re-elected, he will announce it in 2 months. Remember what I said. I'm almost sure about it. Because they just cannot continue with those losses. Unfortunately, Russia has many more potential soldiers that they may recruit to their army from civilians, and this year I do expect many more Russian mid-wave attacks on Ukrainian territory. Whether those will be successful or not, it depends on the military support of Ukraine. Putin already honored the commander of Avdiivka group of the Russian army, Colonel General Andriy Merdichev. Russian dictator called him and congratulated with successful achievement of the main goal for the Russian elections. But during their conversation, there were no any mention about the Russian losses. As usual, generals honored with medals and soldiers with coffins. So what do Russians say about Avdiivka in general? They admit that their main success was only possible because they used the gliding bomb and because they have the aviation superiority and those mid-wave tactics that they don't care about their losses. They also say that those gliding bombs are not very accurate, but still they use them a lot. At the same time, they admit that Ukraine was successful in using the FPV drones, unlike the Russian army. They were able to trap Russian army many times in Avdiivka, causing heavy losses for the Russian forces and especially armored vehicles with infantry personnel. They say that even though they took Avdiivka under control, but still were not able to achieve their main task to encircle the main group of Ukrainian armed forces in Avdiivka. The Avdiivka offensive operation once again demonstrates how important for success the air superiority is. That's why for sure Ukraine should obtain fighter jets to compensate the Russian air superiority. It will not be a huge game changer, but still it will help a lot. Patriot systems alone are unable to cope with the Russian attacks on our cities in the east because they have to also protect our cities, our civilians, and you see how Russia is constantly launching the attacks on Ukrainian cities. Avdiivka at the same time is the Russian vein and also the Russian Luz. The difference between Avdiivka and Bakhmut for Russia, that Russia lost many more real army men in Avdiivka. In Bakhmut, those were ex-prisoners who were thrown by the Wagner army straight ahead to Ukrainian positions. Here are total different losses for the Russian army. Capable losses, let's say. Let's go to other news. President Vladimir Zelensky is now visiting some of the European countries. He went to Germany, he went to France, after it flown back to Germany to Munich for the security conference. He said many of the good things out there, but what I didn't like that he said that if America will not give Ukraine the support, Ukraine in that case would not consider the United States as the strategic ally, so I think this is not good. We need to create new communication lines with the United States, not to cut them off. It doesn't matter what administration will be in the White House in the future. Plus, Americans helped Ukraine a lot before and continue to help. Yes, not that much, but still. There is a political crisis which I hope will be solved soon. But from what I understood, the voting for the new military package for Ukraine is planned for March, at the middle of March, somewhere like that. It's not a good sign for us, but still, what can we do, right? We are not able to influence the United States politics. What we are able to do is to share the information that Ukraine really needs the military support. It saves lives, basically. In Munich, Zelensky met with the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. I believe that she's not very popular in the United States of America. That is what I've been told. I wasn't really searching the topic, so you may write in the comments whether she's popular or not. And well, from what I heard from some of my friends who live in the United States, they say that they do afraid to vote for Biden because if Biden kaput, she will take the power and they don't want to have her as the president. It is interesting for me to hear because it may influence the election results, so please write if she is popular or not in the United States. Thank you. Zelensky also met with some of the senators, so hopefully they will gradually propel the military support of Ukraine. They will introduce new measures. You see that now senators should be aware that Russia poses the threat for allies and for the United States itself, for example, with nuclear program in the space. Hopefully everything will be settled with that. Meanwhile, so-called farmers in Poland continue to block the border with the Ukraine. They already caused significant losses for Ukrainian economy, and I know for sure that Ukraine is unable to get some of the military supplies, mostly from volunteers, through the border. For example, this lorry was stopped by Polish so-called farmers and turned around, so it is back in a queue, which is 18 kilometers long. It has the ID number for the military cargo, and inside there is some of the vehicle for our forces. It's the military one. Yeah, here he turned the phone, so inside there is one more truck and some of the engineering equipment. I'm sure that those protesters are the Russian supporters. At least the organizers are from the pro-Russian group in the Polish politics. At the same time, Polish government is doing nothing about the case. One more blind and deaf organization is the United Nations. They say that they cannot prove that North Korean shells were used by Russia to bomb Ukrainian territories or the North Korean ballistic missiles were used to target Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. I posted this one on my Telegram to illustrate the United Nations organization. The president of the Czech Republic, Petr Pavel, said that he found artillery shells for Ukrainian army, more than 800,000 of those, 500,000 of 155 caliber and 300,000 for 122 mm caliber. Now he asks the leaders of the European Union to give the funds to purchase those. Where he find those shells, I'm out of clue. He just said in the third countries. The good news, and it is just a beginning, the United States transferred to Estonia $500,000 that were confiscated from the Russian assets that were freezed in the United States. The sum is not that big, but as I say to you, it is a beginning. Estonia now can transfer those funds to Ukraine or purchase some of the military equipment for those funds, and also transfer to Ukraine. We have more news about the Russian opposition leader Navalny, who lost his life. Now his body is also lost. His mother is unable to find it, his lawyers too. According to the latest information, Russian officials say that they will not give the body to the family until the investigation of the case is over. What investigation? They just say that it was the blood clot. What to investigate here? They don't want to give the body to the family, which is very strange and obviously gives a clue that it was a murder. Let me read out my thoughts about Navalny, and probably I'll not speak about him any longer. I posted it on my Telegram group today. Navalny's death marks also the end of so-called Russian opposition. The members of his team are abroad and have no influence on the Russian politics. In their rhetorics, Russian opposition say that they should wait until Putin dies and only after that try to get power in Russia. Very proactive mindset, I would say. The fight against dictator by waiting. That's why I think that there is no real opposition to the Russian dictator in Russia right now. There was one, his name was Prigozhin. He really fought against the Russian federal forces, but refused to go to the end. It was his big mistake. Yes, he wasn't a Democrat, but he was in opposition, let's say. The peaceful protests era in Russia is over. It simply doesn't work. Banners, flowers, everything, it will not change anything. The Russian society is scared to act hard, so they are doomed to stay under the KGB regime. That's why the only thing that may change something in Russia is the Ukrainian army. If Russian people really want to bring changes to Russia, they should support Ukrainian army with donations, with everything, and really change their mindset from the peaceful protests to active action, to the real fight. Without it, the Russian KGB elite will continue to rule in Russia, creating problems not just for Russians but also for the neighbors of the Russian Federation. Peaceful protests were working before, like 10 years ago, but not now any longer. So Russian society actually let Putin to strengthen the rules in Russia against them. So if Russians really take care about their opposition leader who lost his life in a prison, they should act hard, not just putting their candles everywhere with photos of Navalny. It will not solve their problems, and it will not revenge the Navalny's death. You'll see that in a few days they'll mostly forget about those news. And for Ukraine, it doesn't really matter. Our country should continue to fight against the Russian aggression. That's it. My friends, don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And also you may check out the video description just below. And there you may find my personal link for the Atlas VPN Premium, which you may get with awesome super discount, especially made for my followers. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.